We've got two verses to talk about today from the song Magnificent, Marvelous, Matchless Love. So let's get right to it. The first verse starts by saying, magnificent, marvelous, matchless love, too vast and astounding to tell. Let's stop a minute and talk about these words. What does that word vast mean? Vast. Vast is another word for huge. It's something extremely long and wide. It's a word we use to describe things like the Great Plains out west, which are vast, meaning they're huge, wide open spaces. When we say God's love is vast, we're saying it's huge. And when we say it's too vast to tell, we're saying it's so huge we can't fully describe it. And not only is God's love too vast to tell, we also sing that it's too astounding to tell. And that word astounding means amazing or impressive or breathtaking, kind of like that word marvelous we talked about last week. It's too great to put into words. There's no way we could adequately describe it. All of the best words you and I could come up with to explain it would fall really short of fully explaining it. The song goes on to say that God's love was forever existing in worlds above, now offered and given to all. Meaning that God's love has always been, it's eternal, it always existed in worlds above, meaning heaven, and now today it is offered to everyone. What great news! We sing, O fountain of beauty eternal, the Father, the Spirit, the Son, to remind us that God's love is like a fountain. It just keeps coming. It's unending. Just like a fountain is an unending source of water, God is an unending source of beauty and love. And did you notice that we sing of all of the members of the Trinity? Do you remember what that word Trinity means? When we speak of the Trinity, we mean that there is one God in three persons, the Father, the Spirit, the Son. And this part of the song is highlighting that we don't just get love from one part of the Trinity, from the Father or just from the Son, but from all three persons of the Trinity, the Father, the Spirit, and the Son. The first verse ends with these words, sufficient and endlessly generous, magnificent, marvelous, matchless love. What does that word sufficient mean? Sufficient means enough. Enough. So when we say that God's love is sufficient, we're saying his love is enough for our every need. When we're lonely, God's love is sufficient. When we're sad, God's love is sufficient. When we're scared, God's love is sufficient. And not only that, it is endlessly, meaning it's always, it's forever, generous. He always gives it to us and gives us all of it. If I were to have a cookie in my hand, oh wait, I do, and you came up to me and asked for some of it, what would be the most generous thing I could do? Give you the teeniest, tiniest little corner of this cookie? Give you half of it? Or give you the whole thing? If I loved you with an endlessly generous love, I'd give you the whole thing and not just eat a bite in front of you. The verse reminds me of what Paul prayed for the Ephesian church in Ephesians 3:17 through 19, when he prayed these words, that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love, may have strength to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and length and height and depth, and to know the love of Christ that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. The second verse of magnificent, marvelous, matchless love is meant for us to see how God shows his love through creation. We'll sing in these verses, creation is brimming, meaning almost overflowing with thankfulness. The mountains exultant, meaning joyfully or triumphantly they stand. The seasons, all of them, winter, spring, summer, fall, they rejoice in his faithfulness. All life is sustained, meaning it's held, it's supported, it's kept alive by your hand. The next part of this verse talks about the beauty and creativity of God's creation. And here's a picture of what it means when we sing, you crown every meadow with color. A meadow is a field, and see all of the colors in this picture of this meadow. And here's a picture for the line we sing: you paint every shade in the sky. And then we finish this verse by singing, each day the dawn or the morning wakes is an encore of magnificent, marvelous, matchless love. Do you know what an encore is? An encore is a word used with theater shows and concerts. If the show or the concert is really, really, really good, and the people watching the show or concert are so happy with what they just saw and heard that they want more even after it's over, they may keep clapping their hands at the end of the performance or even yell encore so that the performers will perform something else, something more. Maybe they'll do one or two more songs that they hadn't originally planned on doing. When we say that each dawn or morning is an encore of God's love, we're saying that we experienced God's love beautifully and fully yesterday, and this morning is just more of that same thing. We've got lots to think about today as we sing this song together, and as we do, I want to encourage you, think about how huge and unending God's love for you is. Let's sing together.
Astounding to tell, forever existing in worlds above, now offered and given to all. O fountain of beauty eternal, the Father, the Spirit, the Son, sufficient and endlessly generous, magnificent, marvelous, matchless love. Creation is brimming with thankfulness, the mountains exalted they stand, the seasons rejoice in your faithfulness, all life is sustained by your hand. You crown every meadow with color, you paint every shade in the sky, each day that dawn wakes is an encore of magnificent, marvelous, matchless love. How great, how sure His love endures forevermore. Magnificent, marvelous, matchless love. What grace that you entered our brokenness, you came in the fullness of time. How far we had fallen from righteousness, but not from the mercies of Christ. Your cross is our door to redemption, your death is our fullness of life. That day of forgiveness flowed as of love, magnificent, marvelous, matchless love. How great, how sure His love endures forevermore. Magnificent, marvelous, matchless love. United in your resurrection, you lift us to infinite heights. Could anything sever or take us from magnificent, marvelous, matchless love? How great, how sure His love endures forevermore. Magnificent, marvelous, matchless love. How great, how sure His love endures forevermore.